A boy opens his eyes and sees several cute maids excited to see him. His totally normal first response is to cast a fireball and incinerate them all, but just before he does so, he realizes that his hands are tiny. That brief moment of distraction throws his aim off, so he misses the maid and instead ends up blowing a hole through the castle walls instead. Fortunately, thanks to the fact that a fireworks show was going on, his blast did not cause a terror alert in the kingdom. The people are celebrating the birth of the new Prince Lloyd, while inside the castle, the maids are beginning to consider switching careers before they get turned to ash by this trigger-happy baby. Some time passes and we see that the maids decided to keep their jobs, but only after updating their life insurance policy. Right now, they are busy looking for the prince and can't find him anywhere, but moments after they leave, Prince Lloyd pops out from behind a pillar. He wants to get as far away from here so they don't find him, but as he was leaving, he ends up bumping into some officials. He asks them not to tell the maids he is here and they agree, but one asks if Lloyd would like to join them for some hunting to pass the time. Unfortunately, he is pretty busy right now, so he ignores the offer and just runs off to do his own thing. The official is disheartened that he was rejected by Lloyd again, but the other guy asks why he is even bothering to try making friends with the kid since he is too young to contest for the crown. Plus, he is only the 7th prince, so gaining his friendship won't be politically advantageous. To this, the first official has one thing to say. The kid could blow up a castle on the day he was born, and I don't think he needs another reason to stay on friendly terms with him. In fact, it wouldn't be a stretch to say that Lloyd may be the reincarnation of the father of sorcery, but that's only speculation. Back to Lloyd, he is indeed a reincarnation, although he was just a regular sorcerer in his past life. He doesn't know why he remembers his last life, why he is reborn as a prince here, or whose bright idea it was for him to wear this outfit. One thing he does know is that since he has the freedom to do so, he will live the same way he lived in his past life, and spend it all researching all kinds of wonderful magic. He is mesmerized by the castle's extensive library collection, and thinks it is even better than the one he had access to in his previous life. However, just before he could open a book and start reading, he gets it snatched away by a maid. Silpha has finally found him, so he can no longer skip the rest of his lessons as he pleases. Outside, Lloyd now has to go through sword practice with Silpha, and she is showing no mercy against this 8-year-old, but he's still holding his ground. Lloyd doesn't see a reason why he needs to go through with all this training since he is too far down the line to ever have a shot at the royal throne, but Silpha retorts that there is more to life than just trying to gain power in the family. It's only proper that since he is a member of the royal family, that he should be educated in all manners of subjects. She was put in charge of his education 3 years ago, so she's going to take her job very seriously and make sure he learns stuff. Lloyd doesn't like how insistently diligent Silpha is, but he knows she won't let him skip out on practice until he shows her some improvement. She tells him to get back into stance, and the two cross swords once more. However, this time, Lloyd is able to match Silpha's moves exactly. She is impressed by the amount of improvement he is exhibiting since she can see that he has gotten better, but Lloyd thinks to himself that he is actually using something called control-type magic to copy her moves exactly. In other words, he's cheating on his swordsmanship exam. However, even with him copying her movements, he's still only got the body of an 8-year-old, so she is stronger, taller, and has more reach than him as well. He's going to have to find a way to make up for the differences, since they put him at a huge disadvantage, so he comes up with a brilliant solution. He's going to cheat some more. He casts a spell to make his wooden sword grow longer, and another one to make him physically stronger, as well as one to make him levitate, so now he is able to fight on equal terms with Silpha. Eventually, when he sees an opening, he switches tactics and stops copying her technique in the middle of his attacks, so she is thrown off guard and he plans to take advantage of that to strike. However, she's still an extremely skilled swordswoman, so she was able to block his strike regardless. She confronts him about cheating just now, and Lloyd is scared that he got caught. She assumes he must have done it to make up for the difference in ability between the two of them. And honestly, she's pretty impressed by it. That means he must have been using 2 spells at once, and even the palace court mages find that difficult to do, so it's a really advanced skill. Lloyd is just happy that she didn't scold him for using magic, but he chooses to leave out the fact that he was actually using 4 different spells at once instead of just 2. Later that evening, it is time for Lloyd to take a bath, but unfortunately, or fortunately depending on how you think about it, he is forced to take his bath while sitting in the lap of Silpha in the maid's bathroom. He finds this whole situation to be incredibly embarrassing, but Silpha refuses to let him leave and bathe himself since last time she did that, he couldn't even shower and spent all his time reading instead. My guy just wants to read some books, but instead he's surrounded by so many opie that he doesn't know what to do. One of the other maids warns him that if he doesn't behave himself, then he'll be taken by the demon of the Forbidden Library. Lloyd had never heard of this Forbidden Library or the demon in it, so the girls recount the whole story. Long ago, the kingdom of Saloon was nearly destroyed completely. However, after the sacrifices of countless mages, they managed to seal the demon away inside a book. The name of this demon was Grimoire, and he is supposedly sealed away in the castle's Forbidden Library. Silpha doesn't believe the story is true, and she is sure Lloyd wouldn't be scared by something as silly as that. However, Lloyd is fighting his own demons after being surrounded by so many girls in the bath, so he can't bring himself to look them in the eye. They misunderstand this and think he must actually be scared of their story, so they start offering to let him sleep in their beds tonight if he wants to. Lloyd manages to slip away while they argue over who gets to stay with him. And now that he knows there is a forbidden library, he can't just not explore it. That night, Lloyd sneaks through the castle halls until he finds the corridor that should lead to the forbidden library. He then proceeds to cast an air spell on himself to conceal his presence. It changes the density of the air around him and causes light to refract around him, making him practically invisible. One of the guards is falling asleep, but the other tells him to stay awake since they are meant to be guarding magic that could potentially destroy the kingdom in the wrong hands, as well as a sealed demon. All the while, Lloyd is walking past them as they talk about how good they are at their guard duty. They are definitely getting fired after this, aren't they? There was still a second layer of protection in place to stop people from getting into the library though, and it is a seal that was cast by 10 powerful mages using their strongest sealing magic, so there should be no way anyone is getting through that. Well, it didn't take much for him to get through it, so I guess the mages are getting fired as well. After Lloyd has made it into the library, he is amazed that despite living here his entire life, he has never once seen this place. He starts looking around at all the interesting books available, but he reminds himself that he has to replace that barrier so people don't lose their jobs because of him. Just then, he sees a book fly out from a pile, and out pops the demon, Grimoire. He is impressed that such a young boy managed to break the seal on the door to the library, so he tries to persuade him into unsealing him as well. However, even if he doesn't, the seal on Grimoire is probably just going to collapse on its own since it has degraded over time. Grimoire tries to bribe Lloyd with some gold nuggets, but Lloyd isn't fooled by his words. This gold is made from creation magic, and on top of that, Grimoire made this stuff really poorly. He also tells Grimoire that he'll be redoing that seal once he is done here. The kingdom has a lot of books he can read, so he can't let something like Grimoire possibly destroy it all. Grimoire tries convincing him by promising that he won't destroy the kingdom, but Lloyd isn't falling for it. As a last attempt, he says he'll teach Lloyd some ancient magic if he releases him, and Lloyd is immediately ready to throw the entire kingdom under the bus if it means he can learn more magic. He asks if Grimoire will really teach him some ancient magic, and realizing he's got the kid hooked, Grimoire tells him that he definitely will. He also tries buttering him up by saying he must be really talented with sorcery. This brings back some painful memories from Lloyd's past life, where he was discarded for his lack of magical talent, but that's changed since he now has the body of a member of the royal family. He creates a magic key and uses it to destroy the book that was holding Grimoire, and once he is free, he can't believe Lloyd actually destroyed the seal just like that. Lloyd is still excited to get his ancient magic lesson from Grimoire, so he asks for the lesson to begin. Grimoire takes a look at him and proceeds to chuck a ball of purple fire at him, calling it Lesson 1. He believes that must have killed Lloyd, so he's about to get out of here and go destroy the world or something. But then Lloyd pops out from the smoke, completely unharmed. Grimoire can believe that Lloyd is still alive after taking a direct hit from his spell, and Lloyd is praising it for being so unique. He would love to see some more, and Grimoire just can't accept that Lloyd survived, so he starts firing off many more spells at him. However, not a single one manages to break through the barrier around Lloyd, so Grimoire is confused how his barrier could be so powerful. Lloyd is watching in amazement as he analyzes the spell, but even though he knows it could possibly kill him, he wants to see what it feels like to take the attack with his body. Lloyd opens up a hole in the barrier and takes a bit of the purple fire in, much to the shock of Grimoire. It burns his finger really badly, but he seems to enjoy it regardless. And this is the moment we find out that Lloyd is seriously messed up in the head. He tells Grimoire to show him something else, and not wanting to lose to a child, Grimoire pulls out his trump card and grows his second spell so he can dual cast his magic. And although this would have annihilated anyone who wasn't the main character, Grimoire is getting worse matchups than Jogo did. Once Grimoire sees that Lloyd has effortlessly canceled out his most powerful spell, he gets the message that he cannot handle this kid in a fight, so he tries to get away from him as fast as possible. However, just as he was about to leave, he crashed into the barrier Lloyd had set up around them ahead of time. The castle is right above the library, so he didn't want them finding out he was down here. Grimoire asks if Lloyd thought he was going to try and run away, but that's not it. A long time ago, he made a mistake that raised everyone's life insurance, so he likes to be extra careful when he's using magic. He also put barriers up around all the books so that they wouldn't get burned up. But just when Grimoire was about to try throwing another magic spell, Lloyd stops him and says that he has seen enough of that one already. Now he wants to see what kind of defensive magic Grimoire can use, so he uses one of his own attack spells. It's safe to say that Grimoire is not going to enjoy this, and after the blast has ended, we see him laying on the floor as a defeated demon. Lloyd comes up to him and asks why he didn't use a barrier to defend himself, but nothing Grimoire could do would have saved him from that attack. Afterwards, Lloyd uses some magic to return the room back to normal, and Grimoire has been thoroughly tamed from his experience with Lloyd. He tells Lloyd that he is an amazing mage, but Lloyd thinks he is the one who is amazing since it turns out that demons can't be killed by magic, although it still hurts a lot. Lloyd is interested to find out just how much punishment Grimoire can take since he is supposedly immune to magical damage, but Grimoire doesn't want to agree to that, so he pledges his undying loyalty to Lloyd on the condition that he doesn't torture him. Lloyd agrees to take him on as a familiar, but torture will still be involved. Only slightly though. He tells Grimoire to transform so he doesn't scare people with the way he looks, so he turns into this chibi-looking goat and plans to butter him up so he can take control of his body. However, when Grim tries to do so, he ends up staring into the bottomless pit that is Lloyd's mana reserves. This made it clear to him that nothing he tries against this kid will work, so he is better off just being obedient and not causing trouble. With all that settled, Lloyd heads off to enjoy reading in the Forbidden Library as much as he wants. This was the end of episode 1. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to not miss the next part.